Hello, everybody. It is Larissa here, and today I'm here with Tamara Hrechuch, and she's a teacher. She is a self-development enthusiast. It took her a while to get there, but she finally did, and I was able to convert her. I'm so excited about that because not only is she a fantastic student of the craft, she has completely transformed her self-image from the day I've known her. And she is also my mother, which makes me really excited and also very proud of the work that she's done. So we're working through some self-image processes with a lot of different people. And I know you've had a really powerful story that so many people can relate to. And I think it's always great to hear from someone that is walking in your shoes as to what their experience is. So we were chatting after the training I did this afternoon, and we were just chatting about your experience. So I asked you to share more about the process that you went through and the relationship you had with self-image when you got into this work. So I know you've been doing this work for a while now. So maybe tell me about the self-image you had of yourself before you started doing any of this work. What was your self-image like, if you were to describe it for me?
Well, it would probably be a very poor self-image because I was so focused on everyone else and not myself, and not realizing that I needed to focus on myself to be able to help myself, to help others, because I was teaching at that time, and yet I felt very disjointed, very flustered. And now it's changed, because it's like the old put your mask on in the airplane first before you help someone else. And I always focused and centered on my children, and always gave them opportunities, and never even considered giving myself one, or taking opportunities for myself.
And we appreciate the opportunities you gave us, but I also know that some of the opportunities I've seen you take in the last little while, in the last couple of years, have been so exciting for me and so meaningful for me to watch, because I know that you always did put us first. When you finally did start stepping into that self-image, it was completely powerful. It was completely transformative, because I finally got to see a version of you that I'd never seen before. One that wasn't selfish, one that was actually walking the talk of who I wished you had always been, and who I wish you had given yourself the chance to be. I don't know if that came out right. How did it feel when you first started setting goals and really exploring what you wanted? How did that feel for you in the beginning?
Well, there was a lot of resistance because it was not something I was familiar with. And with that resistance, I would only do part of the things I needed to do. I didn't go full out. And because I didn't really believe that I could do it, I didn't feel that I was worthy of even setting a goal, because I didn't even have the ability to daydream or think about a goal that I wanted to set. I just wasn't there. That part of my imagination, that part of my mind just didn't allow me to even go there.
And I think we were talking about it earlier, that it's like there's a time and a place for everyone and for everything. And at that time, it wasn't quite your time to take a big quantum leap, right? And you were talking about and I was like, well, you just didn't have the tools. And what I love that you pointed out is you're like, well, I've had the tools for a long time, but I chose not to use them. And so tell me about that side of things. Like, you had the tools, you didn't use them. What happened? Why was that?
It's when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. I wasn't ready. I had my tools buried somewhere deep down inside. My goals, I never thought to set, because my mom always used to say, oh, I'm not planning anything, because everything I ever plan never works out. And I'm always so disappointed. And because I heard that over and over and over again, I thought, like, how am I ever going to set a goal? I don't want to be disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself as it is. And I've heard about goal setting. I had gone to different seminars, but still the tape that kept playing in my head that was, oh, don't bother setting any goals because they're never going to come to fruition. I heard about what's his name? Think and Grow Rich book. Oh, a long time ago. Way.
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill, yes, thank you. I had that book. I've tried to read that book 4 or 5 times. I start with the first, I didn't even get through the first chapter and I put it down. And yet I knew that other people had gone through it and it had done a lot of things, good things for them, and they had accomplished many things. But my inner person was just not ready for it at that time.
Yeah. And I think when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And one thing I really love is that maybe you weren't ready and you didn't have the belief in yourself at the time. That didn't mean you stopped being open to it. That didn't mean you stopped learning. That didn't mean you stopped showing up, because you did keep showing up.
I did
keep coming back. You may not have, I think one of the beautiful things is we don't set goals in order to get, we set goals to grow. And that's something we sometimes forget about, because we think if we're setting a goal, it's going to be selfish and it's going to be something that we're going to do to get things from people. We forget that this world is full of abundance and there's so much opportunity for so many people. And when we get something for ourselves, we're not actually taking away from somebody else. We're actually, it's like we have a pie. This pie, if I want half a pie and you want half a pie, and someone else comes in, we could still have half a pie if we make the pie bigger. We could still have that same amount if we make the pie bigger, or just get another pie.
Right.
And we forget that there is always opportunity. There's always another way around it. It's not a selfish thing to do, to go after goals, because we grow, we develop, and that's how we can help so many more people. And so I appreciate you sticking with it. And I know that you do so much for the students that you work with, especially in the schools and elsewhere in your life. And the people in your life have really taken notice of some of the changes that you've made as you've done the self-image work. Maybe not initially, but sometimes we make these changes on the inside and we don't see them on the outside, because we see that programming from before still in our external world as we're making these changes on the inside, because this is all inside work. And then one day, all of a sudden, it shows up on the outside and everyone's like, oh, it's like an overnight miracle. Oh, how'd you do that? How did you achieve that goal? How did you lose the weight? How did you buy the house? How did you, earn $1 million in a year? Well, that didn't happen overnight. The changes were happening deep inside for a long time. And by the time people started recognizing it, it had been 6 months or a year and a half that you had actually started really committing to yourself. So what was the shift for you? Maybe tell us what the big turning point for you was. Was there a defining moment? Was there a defining theme, a defining something that really shifted your desire to improve your self-image and give this an actual honest effort?
There was, and it's actually really quite a sad event in my life. Someone who I admired very closely and I knew very well had passed away at a very early age, and overweight, and at that point I was extremely overweight too. And then the next day, another person I knew had passed away as well through a heart attack again, because they were extremely overweight. And so I thought, oh, I don't want this to be like the trifecta, like 3 things, in the row. It's a little bit of superstition coming out. But, and at that point I thought, you know what? I don't want to end up not being able to walk. I don't want to end up not being able to live a full life. And then I kept thinking to myself, I am truly worth it. And there were times where I had a hard time, getting through to the next step. But because I had support, I had a group of people who were there for me. I I was able to go to the next step because the support and the program that I was working on with you they started to take place. Like, I mean, they started to come to fruition. Things started to happen. And once you start seeing those things that they are beginning to happen, you sort of get that, oh my gosh, it does really work.
Yeah.
Just have faith in the process, have faith in the process. That's what I kept telling myself, have faith in the process. And the process really worked because I began not only to see things physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. And now I really like myself. I really like myself. I like the fact that I've turned into this person who's able to share a lot of gifts and talents with other people.
And that's amazing. I love that complete shift in your perspective. And sometimes we need wake up calls in order to allow us to change. And it's unfortunate that was the case for you. But there are so many times where people could have been in the same scenario, and all you do is complain that things happen to people in the world. And you looked at these opportunities, these terrible situations, as a gift. Right? It's like, this happened. It is what it is. How can I make something great of this? How can I become a better person because of it? Because I can't change the past. Nobody can change the past. You can remember people in their best light, but you can't change the past. All you can do is make the absolute most that you can out of this moment and the future that you have in front of you. And I think since then you've released a lot of weight. So how much, where are you at right now?
Probably close to 65, 70 pounds.
65, 70 pounds. You move on a regular basis.
I do. I started Tai Chi, and that's my physical portion, that I take care of my body that way. So,
and I love that it's
very
not
important.
Yeah, it's Tai Chi. It's a simple movement form, but it's so powerful. You eat healthy foods.
I do.
Yeah.
And I drink lots of good, clean, fresh water, and that's really good. And I don't, and I try and do the best I can. Sometimes we have slip ups, but I've got to the point where, it's okay because I can start again. I just have a little bit of a slip up and then I just go on, right? And it's not even really a slip up. I think, there are things like, I guess my one vice is chocolate. Like, that's my kryptonite. I really love chocolate. So I make a point of having one piece of chocolate a day. And it's dark chocolate and it's not very sweet. So I've got it worked out that my body is okay with that.
And if you accept that chocolate and you savor every bite and you just are joyful while eating it, that chocolate is going to have more nutritional benefits to you than negative. So it really, really will. And I think it's your perception of it, right?
Right. And you saying if you're feeling joyful, it'll have more benefits. And you know what? It's the feeling of how your emotional being, when I actually finish eating something like vegetables, whereas before I'd go, oh yeah, that was okay. But now I look at it and I think, oh my gosh, that was just so, so good, right? And it's also other things, not just with food, but if you're in the moment and you have joy and good feelings about yourself and about your situation, then good things come to you.
Yeah, amazing. And so knowing that you have infinite potential, right? We talked about infinite potential this afternoon, and we are all infinite beings. We have the possibility of doing so much more than we're capable of. Tell me how your self-image has changed and how your perception of what you might be able to do and be willing to do in the future has changed as a result of doing this work.
Well, first of all, I would never be on an interview like this before. I would have said, are you kidding me? No, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know how to say it. I'd stutter a lot and I'd look at myself and I'd feel really poorly about myself, about the way I looked. And now I think, oh my God, I'm so lucky that, I have this healthy body, and I do affirmations all the time, and I say positive things about myself. And so the more you hear that, the better you feel.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And if there was one thing that you could leave our viewers with, they're diving into self-image work. Maybe they are brand new and really afraid of this. Maybe they're curious to learn more. Maybe they're experienced. But based on your experience, what is a piece of advice that you'd like to leave people with that are working with self-image?
We always have that thought, oh, well, I can go on the internet, or else I can do this on my own. But it's so much more effective in a group or with a person who's able to guide you and to lead you. And I know you're my child, and I'm just so proud of you. And I'm so grateful that you are my child, that I can, no, well, you're not really a child anymore, but you're a beautiful woman. But that you were there to help me and to support me. And that's what I found really, really helpful. Because sometimes there's things that a person needs to talk out, and you're not going to find the answers on the internet, or, yeah. So I would say find something, find a program. For me, it was Thinking into Results. It was a perfect program for me. I mean, not at the beginning, because I didn't like to write. I write a lot of things now, and before I never used to like to write. And so, yeah, find somebody, find a program, and stick with it and believe in the process, because it does really work.
Mhm. Thank you so much. And I'm so proud of you and all of the transformations you've had. I know that one of my more recent defining moments with you was when we were talking about self-image a couple months ago, and you were like, well, I've done the weight loss thing. Maybe now I can actually have a financial goal. Maybe now I could have other goals. You were able to go to Australia and live out a dream that you talked about for a decade or two. And you did that. And you've started to do things that are totally out of character for you, but also have created this world of possibility. So in my heart, I am truly, truly grateful for your willingness to be open. And I know that sometimes in the beginning, it can be challenging, but when you want more, like you initially came for one reason, and what you thought you came for, that wasn't it. If you can name it, it ain't it. But if you are showing up to a webinar, if you are showing up to a call, if you are showing up to a self-image boot camp, if you are showing up to anything, you are meant to be there for a reason. And you may not understand why. You may come for one reason, but the fact that you showed up means you have faith and you have belief in yourself, even though in the beginning it didn't feel like you did. But you knew you were worth it deep inside. Your inner being knew that. You just weren't able to express it verbally and physically at the time. And so you've gotten to the point where you're starting to match those inner thoughts, those inner conversations with your physical world. And it's showing up. It is manifesting, and you are shining, you are glowing and transforming your life from the inside out, and that of so many other people's. So thank you. Thank you for trusting me, and thank you for showing up on this Facebook Live, on this interview. It's like I think this is our second time, maybe third time that you've been on, sharing parts of your story, because I know people do find it very, very valuable. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much for helping me get to the point where I really love myself and those around me.
I'm going to start crying soon. So with that, we will end. And if you guys have any questions for Tamara, feel free to pop them in the post, reach out to her directly, or reach out to us and we will get them answered. Maya says, I love when Tamara said chocolate is my kryptonite. Thank you for sharing. So you don't have to eat a whole bar every night. Just a piece.
That's just a piece, just a taste. I just want a taste, right?
Enjoy.
All right. Thank you.
Enjoy your chocolate. Bye-bye.
Bye.